What's going on, guys? So today's video will be talking about one of the dumbest phrases that I've ever heard in my life. And that phrase is, everything happens for a reason, which is, in my opinion, complete and utter BS. Now, this phrase is often used to, I guess, to describe a inconvenient situation in life, like if something bad happens, or if something that somebody doesn't like, something really grave happens in life. Now it's usually brought on by religious people. I've not heard it from people I know who are not religious, so I would consider this a phrase used by pretty religious people. Now, everything happens for a reason is usually said because they believe that God has a purpose for whatever has happened. Okay? For example, you were late getting to work and thus avoiding a car accident or a serious accident that happened on the way to your work, but you avoided it. A lot of people say, well, it happened for a reason. I was spared by God. Okay, first of all, it happened for a reason. What's the reason? So the other people had to have a car accident, or someone else had to die, and you survived? So what's the reason? Everything happens for a reason. So was there a chain of events that prevented you from getting killed, thus you're able to do something, contribute back to the world? Like, why did it happen? What's the reason? It's so baffling why people use this phrase to describe anything that happens in the world, especially shit that happens in the world. I've once said to somebody, so kids and babies and women getting killed in a war, that happened for a reason? What's the reason? And usually they come up with some really stupid philosophical or religious reason to explain innocent people's deaths, or to explain any situation where someone has lost their life or nearly lost their life, or had some other unfortunate accident happen to them, or occurrence happen to them, like losing a child or getting cancer or anything like that. And people are just like, well, everything happens for a reason. I think it's utter bullshit, in my opinion. I just think, okay, so what's the reason? I want to know what the reason is. And they'll never know. They don't know what the reason is. They'll be like, well, God has a higher power. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. So someone who gets stabbed in the subway, or I'm just throwing out any terrible thing that happens, anything bad at all. Specifically, my thing is when it happens to kids, I'm thinking, what's the reason behind that? What the hell is the reason behind that? Everything happens for a reason. Okay, the reason is what? It just baffles my mind. There's a lot of shit does not have a reason. There's just so much chaos in this life, and it's so depressing. It's just really disturbing as well. And I'm thinking, like, well, everything happens for a reason. And I'm thinking, you're an idiot. What's the reason why this child died? Or what's the reason why thousands or hundreds of thousands of African kids go hungry every year, every day? So that happens. What's the reason? I've heard someone once say, well, it doesn't have to be a good reason. It just could be, it's a reason. Okay, yeah, the reason is because we're all idiots on this planet and not organizing our supplies, mobilizing humanity. Okay, there are people helping, but it's not enough. We could be ending all of this poverty, all of this hunger within like days, weeks. But instead, the money goes to wars, goes to funding attacks on innocent countries, innocent people. It goes to weapons, goes in the pockets of these politicians who absolutely give a shit about, could absolutely give a shit about people, much less starving African people. You know, billions of dollars going to Ukraine is an example of that, to fight off evil Russia. Like, it's crazy, man, how much shit happens and how people can just shrug it off by saying everything happens for a reason. Sometimes things do happen for a reason, but it's not, in my opinion, intervention by a higher power. I don't believe that. And I'm gonna do another video about religion, because that just would, man, I gotta talk about that. But everything happens for a reason. Like, give me a break, man. Tell me what happens for a reason. Tell me what animals on the street that die or get hit by a car, what's the reason? There's a reason how it happened, you know, there's a reason, you know, how it happened, but there's no greater plan that basically says, well, that animal had to die because if it didn't, you know, such and such. It's absolute nonsense. And this is what bothers me about life, you know, is that people can easily dismiss things as, oh, everything happens for a reason. I hear it so much, man, and it's annoying as shit. No, not everything happens for a reason, okay? Or it could be that it happened for a shitty reason, but not the reason that they think that God wanted it to happen that way. It's part of the plan. I don't buy that. Sure, okay, things do happen for a reason, such as like the cabal that's running the world. They're the globalists. Yeah, they have a reason. They have a reason why a lot of this shit's happening. That's the reason, because they're controlling a lot of shit and they're manipulating things to happen to go in their favor. Okay, that's happening. Things are happening for that reason. Sure. But there's no, you know, higher power, like I said. It's just, man, how can people just be so narrow-minded, you know? I don't know. I'm not making this video very long, but I just had to, that phrase just annoys the shit out of me. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, yeah, things do happen for a reason, but it's not what you think. No shit, things happen for a reason. Not a good reason. Humanity just is in big shit, deep shit. I don't know. I'm embarrassed to be a human, though I live my best. You know, I try to be the best example of a human being as possible. But you know, we all make our mistakes. We all have our imperfections. But man, I think people just use that phrase to sort of, when they don't know how to explain something, you know, or they can't logically come up with a real explanation as to why something happens. For example, the starvation around the world. This happens because there's no money in it. So unless there's money involved, unless you can make some of this, which I'll use the example of this YouTuber that I watch quite often. But unless you're making money, ain't nothing gonna happen. There ain't gonna be changes. There's always has to be money to be made in order for something to change. It's just like humanity can't get on this next level and strive to better ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, be a civilization that is compassionate. Like, if you look at the history of humanity, it's done nothing but shit and evil and terrible things. Not saying every human is evil, but man, I could name off a whole bunch. The world wars, the Inquisition, the what do you call it? The mistreatment of Japanese prisoners, Japanese Americans, the terrible treatment that the Native Americans or indigenous peoples have had to endure over the last 300, 400, 500 years. Like, I could go on and on and on how much shit humanity's done. We have a really, really terrible track record as a species. Now, I'm a believer that the past is the past. There's nothing we can do about that. In order for humanity to get on a next level and be somewhat, what's the word? Not holy, I'm trying to think of a word where, anyways, but just in a spiritual plane where we can just treat everybody the same. It's not gonna happen. I know it's not gonna happen. You know, it's not gonna happen. I see so much shit everywhere that it's, man. And I think it's always been like this. I think humanity has always been this way. I don't know that things have gotten worse. I'm gonna do a video talking about that as well, about how I've noticed just way more, like things have gotten much, much worse as you know, from what I remember growing up. But I don't know. I just believe we could move on and be a better civilization. Perfection is not impossible. Like, it's very difficult to attain, but we could get close to it. We could be, I always use the example of like Star Trek. If any of you watch Star Trek, get to that degree where we've moved beyond famine, wars, all of these things on planet Earth. You know, I believe it's possible. It's not impossible. Just the problem is it's all about the money, corruption. There's a lot of deep-seated evil people, organizations, people running the world in these organizations who are trying, you know, humanity seems to be, being a human being essentially craves money, at least in the last few centuries, craves money, well, forever really, power, sexuality, immediate sexual gratification, being, you know, on some sort of a drug. It doesn't necessarily have to be a narcotic drug. Like typical drugs that people don't think of, sugar is a drug, whether you believe it or not. It doesn't have the same effects as other things, as in it really screws you up, but it does increase dopamine, it does cause these things. But anyway, humanity has this difficulty. There seems to be a lot of people who are greedy. Anyway, I got sidetracked, but it happened for a reason. The reason was I needed to explain where I'm coming from with this phrase, you know, because I think humanity really has a lot of issues, and I could go on and on and on with videos about that. It's so strange how, and I'll finish up this video, but it's so strange how I came to this conclusion, you know, after so many years of being in the dark. The word I was thinking was enlightenment. Humanity needs to, if they want to get to a level of enlightenment, we need to do a lot of these things. There's a lot of tons of work to do, but I don't know, that could be another video. So yeah, I mean, I've become more enlightened, not perfect, but enlightened more to, hence my channel name, The Red Pill, because I believe something clicked. I don't know what it was, it's hard to explain. Maybe some videos that I've watched. I watched a lot of David Icke, who, you know, gets banned because speaking too much truth. But it's really just all of a sudden I guess it was a slow transition. And obviously I'm not fully awake. I believe that it's still in the awakening period, but much further along than most humans on this world, in this world. So I'm just trying to spread the word on it and giving people an option to think outside the box, you know, think outside of your mind and see beyond the world in which we live, you know, the 9-to-5 job. Oh, you got to have a family. Oh, you have to fill your house full of shit that you don't need with money that you don't, buying with money you don't have. A lot of different ideas, but yeah, so you tell me, what do you think of the phrase, it happens for a reason, or it happened for a reason? It's just, yeah, getting back to that. No, nothing happens for a specific reason. There's just random shit. I do believe some stuff could possibly happen for a reason. There might be, I'm not saying it's intervention by a higher power or a being or by a god, But the universe is completely, it's chaotic. But in some instances, I believe that things do somehow form, I don't know, it's crazy, you know, with mental energy. And anyway, those could be all separate videos. But let me know what you think about the phrase. How often do you hear it? Do you believe that everything happens for a reason? Let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm still trying to grow here on this channel, and many more videos to come. There's a lot of things that I want to get off my chest and talk about, and hoping that you guys can you know, relate to the topics. So whoever's watching, I thank you for watching these videos. You know, maybe think about subscribing to catch the future videos. But yeah, take care, guys, and be well, you know, in this crazy world. Stay strong. Take care for now. Bye.